What's up, guys? Happy Friday. Made it to the end of the week. And with Friday comes the return of one of my favorite weekly segments from last year. Something that I'm definitely going to continue to do for as long as this channel keeps running because I think it's enlightening. I think it's important. And I think there's a strong correlation between how your pass rush is doing and how your team is doing. So we are bringing back Pass Rush Friday. Every Friday, outside of the weeks where we maybe play on Thursday or something like that, I am going to be doing a review of how the pass rush did in the most recent Seahawks game. And in previous years, it's done a good job illuminating which players are really getting it done and which players are disappointing, which games the pass rush really wasn't working, which games the pass rush was really working. And hopefully it'll also be able to draw some patterns along as the year goes on to where we can get a feel for that guy starting to come into his own, that guy's falling off, this guy's been consistent all year, etc., etc. Pressure is everything on defense, or it's not, well, it's most of the things. Pressure creates hurried throws, creates throws on the run, which creates inaccurate throws, which creates turnovers. Sacks create dead drives. Once you have been sacked on a drive, it's very hard to recover, especially if it's a sack for significant yardage. There are not very many things more impactful to a drive's success than the defense's ability or inability to get pressure. So if you're getting pressure, you're probably doing well. And if you're not getting pressure, how's your secondary going to hold up? And when your secondary can't hold up, you're going to start giving up the big plays. You're going to start giving up every single third down because if there's no pressure, then there's nothing for the quarterback to have to worry about but just standing back there, making a read, and finding an open guy. And in the modern NFL, there's going to be an open guy most of the time. It is what it is. So last year, the pressure that the Seahawks provided was not particularly strong. It was below my expectations for multiple reasons. But this year, things are different. And maybe the most interesting part of Pass Rush Friday will be, can this team find a way to create pressure creatively? Can they find a way to create pressure in a way beyond just going, okay, there's your guy. Okay, this pass rusher is going up against that guy. He's going to beat his guy. He's going to get to the quarterback and pressure him. Now, can we scheme some pressures? So, because of that, it's a little harder to predict who's going to do what. Because ideally, in a defense like this, it would be hard to predict the way things go. You don't want it to be obvious who the pass rushers are going to be. You want there to be some degree of uncertainty on the part of the offense. That's one of the reasons why you switch to a hybrid. That's one of the reasons why you bring in some of the players that you brought in. Nevertheless, we're going to start with the defensive line. These are guys who, on passing downs, are mostly going to be trying to push the pocket, trying to collapse the pocket. Maybe not create pressure themselves all the time, but allow other players to create pressure because they took up blocks. And we've got a pretty decent crew of defensive linemen for a 3-4 defense. I think you're going to see some productivity from them. Shelby Harris is probably going to be the stud, at least as far as pass rush goes. He's had some really good years pressuring the quarterback as a 3-4 lineman in Denver. So I gave him 18 pressures on a 17-game season. Could get up to like 20. He'd been up beyond 20 in previous years. So we're giving him 18. Quentin Jefferson, 15, which would be actually a big step down from what he did last year for the Raiders. But I think he's going to play fewer snaps and probably going to be playing a different role, so I think that's warranted. I get Poona Ford 12. Don't really know what to expect from Poona this year, so I just kind of took a shot with a number that sounded reasonable to me. 12 for a 3-4 defensive lineman that straddles between a nose tackle and a defensive end, sure. Al Woods, 5. Brian Monet, 5. 2 nose tackles, 2 big dudes, 2 330-pound plus behemoths. Not a whole lot of QB pressure there, just mostly run stuffing. Miles Adams, one of the guys who's really kind of caught on in recent, I guess I should say days, recent weeks, would actually be going back a little too far. Seems like he's actually going to get to play some, and I'm going to go a little bold here. I'm going to say 10 pressures. I'm going to say he finds a way to make a big impact on this team. He's somebody he's got something. It's not just pure effort. He's actually got some nice ability, and we gotta have LJ Collier here somewhere. So I gave him 1, and if he gets 1 QB pressure this year, I'll be pretty happy with that, I guess. But yeah, not big expectations there. But overall, if we can get 66 total pressures from our defensive line in this quote-unquote hybrid defense, I would probably live with that, because most of the pressure is going to come from the edge rushers, and I like some of it for the present, and I like some of it for the future, but I do think we're going to get a pretty good push out of the guys coming off the edge. 4 guys right now: Taylor, Nwosu, Mafe, Robinson. Could expand later. Taylor's, I think, going to be the best of the bunch. I don't think that's an unpopular take. I don't think that's a super hot take. That's what most people would say. I gave him 35. That's like 2 a game. I think that's reasonable. Taylor's weaknesses are his struggles against the run. Possibly not an ideal tackler, but I believe that in terms of QB pressures, he can be a constant problem in the backfield. And Nwosu, who took a big step forward as a player last year for the Chargers, I think he can get up to about where he was last year with 25 QB pressures over a 17-game season. So you're getting a pretty good 1-2 punch from these 2 guys. And then you've got Mafe and Robinson backing them up. 10 pressures each, I say. Mafe, I don't think he's going to play enough to get a ton of pressures, but I think when he does play, his role will be fairly simple and he'll be able to get to 10. Alton, he's starting off with an injury. Actually, so is Mafe. So we're not off to the best of starts, but I like him, and I think he's got a role to play in this defense, so I'm going to give him 10 as well. Okay, now we go to our interior linebackers, and this one's hard. I don't know how much these guys are going to blitz. Like Jordan Brooks, I think he can be a good blitzer. Are we going to use it? And if we do, is he going to be good at it? It's not something he did a lot in previous years. So I kind of went conservative here. I went 10. I think it could pretty easily end up being more. I think that there are going to be some opportunities for him to show that he can be effective on the blitz. I guess it kind of ultimately depends on what we're getting from the edges. If the edge rushers are not providing a ton of pressure, then maybe we start blitzing the inside linebackers more. It's something that can help Brooks get out of coverage more, which is his weakness as a player. So wouldn't surprise me if he exceeded this, but I'm going to go with 10 for now. Cody Barton, I went with 6. Don't think he's going to blitz a ton. He's supposedly our best cover linebacker. If that's true, then that's where you're going to want him a decent chunk of the time. But you're going to see some blitzing. You're going to see some, or you would hope that you see some. He's proven in the preseason he can be pretty good at it, but we'll see if it carries over to the regular season. And Nick Bellore, I don't think he gets on the field that much, so I gave him 0. When he does get on the field, probably not going to see a ton of blitzing anyway. Cornerbacks, I don't know how much we're going to be blitzing cornerbacks this year, so I kind of just went with my gut here. Most of them are 0s. I gave 2 to Tariq Woolen because he blitzed a couple times in the preseason pretty effectively, I think. And he's got the speed to really run plays down, so I think we're going to have him on the blitz a little bit. I gave Trey Brown and Kobe Bryant 1 each, and then I gave Ryan Neal 2 because that was something that I think he did pretty effectively last year. So we get to 6 total from the cornerbacks. I think that's probably pretty good. And then, of course, we get to our safeties, and Jamal Adams is a guy who should be doing a lot more blitzing this year because of the new defense, his new role within the defense, the fact that he might play some more linebacker, the fact that he's going to be allowed to play downhill more, supposedly, the fact that it's a defense more like the defense that made him a big-time player in New York. I gave him 15. It could easily be more. Depends on how much we blitz him. I hope we don't blitz him as much as we did in 2020, but certainly more than last year. And everyone else I just gave 0. I don't think they're going to be blitzing as much. Maybe you could give Quandre a couple, but I'm not necessarily believing that we're going to let a brilliant center field player like Quandre Diggs blitz that much. So it wouldn't surprise me if you got 1 or 2, but I'll leave it at 0. And these other 2 guys, I don't know how much they're going to play, so I'm going to give them 0 as well. So that's a pretty comprehensive rundown of the pressures I think we can get this year. And look, I'm not saying it's going to get to 200 total, right? Like, if you add all this stuff up, it still falls pretty decent amount short of 200, but I think we can get close, and I think we can average more than 10 a game. And going into 2023, if we can manage something like this, and you're talking about the ability to add another rusher or Mafe suddenly leveling up because he's going to be a raw rookie this year, and you're also maybe looking at the possibility of something like Jordan Brooks becoming a more prolific blitzer in his third year, we could be going into next year feeling like we have a pass rush that can really hurt people. So if we can get here this year, I think that'll be a step in the right direction. I think it'll indicate that this defense is being constructed the right way with the right scheme to make life easier for these guys. And I hope we can get there. I hope these guys can achieve to this point, and that'll be your Pass Rush Friday. So let me know what you guys think. I'm going to get out of here. Go Hawks. Probably another video later today. See you guys later.